You are not confused about your marriage. Your mind is in a trauma loop. This is not confusion. This is not indecision. This is not weakness. When the mind repeatedly circles the same question without resolution, psychiatry does not call it uncertainty. It calls it a trauma loop. Trauma loops do not require violence. They form through prolonged emotional threat, inconsistent safety, and unresolved attachment. What follows is a clinical explanation of why your mind cannot decide about this marriage, why clarity repeatedly disappears, and why waiting for certainty strengthens the loop. This is not reassurance, it is diagnosis. Repeated confusion is a clinically patterned, not a personal flaw. The same question keeps resetting. One day living feels necessary, the next day staying feels possible. Then guilt appears, then hope, then fear. The question never resolves, it resets. This is not reflection, it is a cyclical cognitive entrapment. Why it happens? Attachment and threat are activated simultaneously. Living triggers fear and loss. Staying triggers anxiety and erosion. The nervous system alternates between attachment seeking and threat avoidance. The oscillation prevents completion of a decision. A small microaction. Confusion reclassification directive. State internally once. This repetition indicates a trauma loop, not lack of intelligence or effort. No debate is permitted. Why this works? Mislabeling looping as a indecision sustains self-blame. Accurate diagnosis redirects attention from thinking harder to interrupting the pattern. Repeated confusion is patterned. Cycling thoughts indicate entrapment. Attachment and threat coexist. Oscillation blocks resolution. Diagnosis restores accuracy. Trauma loops form without obvious abuse. There is no single clear incident. Many dismiss trauma because there was no violence, no shouting, no obvious catastrophe. The marriage appears not that bad, yet clarity remains impossible. Why it happens? Inconsistent safety conditions the brain. Trauma is defined by unpredictability, not intensity. Warmth followed by withdrawal. Hope followed by disappointment. Connection followed by silence. This inconsistency produces hypervigilance and destabilizes decision making. Action you can take: safety consistency audit. Ask internally, is emotional safety consistent or intermittent in this marriage? No justification is allowed. Why this works? The brain exits loops only after the environment is correctly classified. Intermittent safety loses its calming illusion once identified. Trauma does not require violence. Inconsistency destabilizes cognition. Not that bad. Delays diagnosis. Intermittent safety confuses the brain. Accurate classification disrupts looping. Hope is the primary fuel of the trauma loop. Brief positivity resets the cycle. A calm conversation, a warm moment, a promise. These moments erase prior clarity. This is not optimism, it is neurological reinforcement. Unpredictable reward intensifies attachment. The brain releases more dopamine for predictable rewards than consistent ones. Hope spikes attachment. Disappointment reactivates threat. Together, they lock the loop. Microaction. Hope containment rule. When positivity appears state. This does not resolve the overall pattern. No emotional amplification is permitted. Why this works? Meaning assignment maintains trauma loop, neutralizing predictive meaning, reduces reinforcement intensity. Hope restarts the loop. Unpredictable rewards intensify bonding. Positivity erases clarity. Meaning fuels repetition. Neutralization weakens the cycle. Guilt and fear bind you to the loop. Responsibility and fear immobilize action. Living feels morally wrong. Fear of regret, loneliness, or instability dominates. These fears are misinterpreted as love or duty. Why it happens? Responsibility is internalized to preserve attachment. When separation threatens attachment, the psyche assigns blame inward. Guilt and fear increase the psychological cost of exit. Responsibility reallocation directive. State internally, I am responsible for my mental health, not for maintaining a harmful pattern. This statement is final. Accurate responsibility dissolves guilt based paralysis. Fear loses authority. Once mislabeling is corrected, guilt immobilize decision. Fear masquerades as attachment. Responsibility is misassigned. Internal reallocation restores movement. Moral clarity weakens loops. Waiting for clarity consolidates the trauma loop. You delay action to feel certain. Many believe clarity will arrive with time. Clinically, trauma loops do not resolve through waiting, they consolidate. Repetition without change strengthens circuits. The brain reinforces what repeats. Waiting adds repetition without introducing new data. The loop deepens. Clarity Abandonment Directive. State internally. Clarity follows action. It does not precede it. Waiting is no longer permitted. Action introduces disruption. Disruption interrupts repetitive circuitry. Resolution follows a movement. Waiting deepens loops. Time does not resolve trauma. Repetition strengthens circuits. Action disrupts patterns. Clarity follows movement. Prolonged trauma loops alter personality. You no longer trust your own mind. Over time, confidence erodes. Reassurance is sought constantly. Decisions feel unsafe. This is not humility, it is cognitive erosion. Chronic looping degrades executive function. Repeated unresolved threat taxes the prefrontal cortex. Decision fatigue develops. Passivity increases. Personality shifts toward compliance. Loop cost recognition. Acknowledge internally. This pattern is changing who I am. No minimization is allowed. Why this works? Identity risk activates preservation system. Tolerance decreases once long-term cost is visible. Loops erode self-trust. Decision fatigue accumulates. Passivity increases. Personality begins to shift. Cost awareness restores urgency. Confusion that repeats is not confusion, it is conditioning. Trauma loops do not end when the mind understands them, they end when participation stops. At a certain point, continuing the cycle is no longer passive, it is decision, and so is ending it.